Hey folks, Mike here, and as you can see, we got another tent review to do today. Today we're going to be talking about the 3F UL LanShan Pro. This is a 2020 edition, and there is a bit of a difference between a regular LanShan and the Pro version. You're going to have to do a little bit of your own research, as some of the listings that I've come across do change their specs a little bit from one instance to the other. The one thing I would suggest is if you are purchasing through AliExpress, and I'll get to that in a moment, I would suggest strongly to purchase from the 3F UL official store. There's a lot of listings for this and very similar tents. They're all about the same, but I would strongly suggest sticking with the 3F UL official site. So without any further ado, let's get into the tent details. So after a few tents, and I think this is tent number 4 on my part, I wanted to get something lighter, something larger in terms of the interior space, so that I could change, I could sit up, I could reorganize my pack as necessary. And as opposed to the one-person bivvy, which is going to show up right about here, perhaps over here, the sizing wasn't bad for a one-person bivvy. The problem was that there was almost no maneuvering around inside the tent. Now, personally, I like to have my pack and belongings with me when I go backpacking. That's just me. So I could have enough room, or I did have enough room inside the tent to have my backpack kind of up on its side, and I lay alongside the backpack and down into the bivvy. But it wasn't big enough that, you know, I was giving myself cramps, you know, just trying to, you know, reach down, bend my knees, take off my socks, whatever the case may be. It had a decent amount of space up top, but still no maneuverability inside whatsoever. Went to the 2-person Explode Pure tent, which is this one. And in that case, 2-person tent, a lot of room. It was the same 3 pounds as the one-person bivvy, but now in this case what I found was that because you are laying with the peak, if you go right up against the side of the tent to try and maximize the amount of extra space that you have on the side, all of a sudden you can't really sit up without hitting the wall of the tent. Not a huge deal, but again, when you're trying to use the space as best as possible, you're going to be ending up laying right down the middle where that peak is, and that, from a personal space and utilization, that's best for, you know, maneuvering yourself, but not really the best in terms of, you know, all your stuff is over on one side and instead it's kind of split between the 2 sides. Now we get to the LanShan. In this case, you actually lay with the peak going across the middle of your body. So now you can actually lay right up against one side or the other of the tent, be able to sit up, not hit the wall of the tent whatsoever, and you're doing just fine. And you have all that extra space to the one side. As you can see, it does have 2 doors. It actually has a bit of a vestibule, so you have storage space. You can put your shoes outside, you can put your backpack outside, and still be able to get at it. Sorry about that. And still be able to get at it through the screening very easily. Alright guys, so now that we have it completely pitched, albeit not perfectly, wanted to give you a little bit of a tour around the tent just to show you a few pointers. So first things first, this tent is not, I repeat, not seam sealed from the factory, and I'll show you the product that I use to do so. But what you'll want to do is any of the exterior seams that will affect the main body of the tent, you're going to want to seal, and not just the outside, like for example this patch here, but also on the underside all the way down. You'll notice that I didn't seam seal here, but all the way down, and even same thing here. I did do the seam heel here, although it's not really pertinent because this is just a bit of an overhang, but this part here definitely does go to the inside part of the tent, so you'll want to seal that. And what I do like about this tent also is if you don't have trekking poles, or you know, something happens, maybe they break on your hike, they do have these loops at both peaks so that you can always strap it to a nearby tree if you have to. And the one thing about this tent, ladies and gentlemen, is do not, under any circumstances, undo any of these knots here or here. These are pre-positioned at the factory and you need these in place, okay? But as you can see, it's fully adjustable. And one thing I really like about this tent and the guy lines is that they are reflective. So if you are trying to find your tent in the middle of the night, these little things glow in the dark, and these are reflective as well. So this is one door, which we'll get to in a moment. And this is going to be your typical corner. So when you are pitching the tent, you'll notice that you'll have this extra piece of guy line for the stakes. You're going to want to leave quite a bit of room here so that you can adjust it after the fact. You'll notice that this side is not too bad in terms of its pitch, but in terms of adjusting the corners, that's what these are for. So when you're initially putting this together and you're pitching the tent, leave as much slack here as you can, and then that way you can tighten down on the corners as needed. When it's done pitching, you can reach underneath and give these a yank and hook it up to the stake, and these will help pull the bathtub square inside. And again, another adjustable guy line here, so all we have to do is do this and make that more tight. And now for the grand entrance. So first thing we're going to do is, here we go, this goes all the way to the top. And one thing that I really like about this tent, guys, is you do have a nice vestibule on either side of the tent, which is really nice. All right, folks, so welcome to the inside of the LanShan 2 Pro from 3F UL. So as you can see, lots and lots of room. So this is another 2-person tent. They do make a 1-person version, which only requires 1 trekking pole. So to give you an idea, I still have, as you can see, some space at the end of my feet here, and laying back. Hopefully I can capture this properly. I still have quite a bit of space here at the head. And as you can see, there's 2 entrances. And something that's a little bit hard to see on this side here, but there is a really nice sized vestibule. So it might be a little hard to see, but if I opened up the screen here, just to give you an idea of the amount of space. So that's a good 12 or 14 inches or so. Now obviously, you know, this starts tapering, but you could put, like, I even used this in a rainfall to, you know, put a little pot underneath and collect some rainwater. You can put your shoes here without having to worry about them getting wet. You can lean your backpack up against the wall or the pole here very easily, or you can store it inside the tent along with you. There's another hook here on both corners for glasses or lights. And obviously, if you set this tent up in the right way or in the right direction, then you have a lot of breeze coming through. And there's still also screening at the base of the tent, at the head and the foot, as you can see here. So again, the idea is single wall tent. It will collect condensation. Condensation is essentially meant to run down both the head and the foot and seep out through the screen. So a couple of reasons why I went with the LanShan 2 Pro is a couple of reasons, actually 3 reasons. So first of all, you notice that the peak lays across your body as opposed to alongside the body, as opposed to the Explode Pure tent that I demoed in the last video, which you can see up here. So in this case, you can actually lay right up against the tent wall without any problem whatsoever. And as you sit up, you actually sit up right into the peak and not interfere with the tent itself. Tons of space on either side. Got a little pocket on the one end only, but it's a fantastic tent. Now, the lines that connect to the bathtub, I know it's a little hard to see inside the tent, but there are some black cords that connect the bottom part of the bathtub to the stakes. You may find that even though they're elasticized, you may want to redo that knot and make those a little bit tighter so that it forms a little bit of a better bathtub square shape. Because otherwise, the more you move, the more the bottom of this tent will move with you. That's the one drawback. Alright guys, now I'm going to go over my my notes here so that I don't give you the wrong information. So, 2 entrances, 2 vestibules, waterproofing index of 2500 millimeters. So again, you have that cylinder of water that is pressed up against the fabric itself, and they continually add water, and when the water starts seeping through the fabric, that's where they measure. So in this case, it's 2500. Aluminum stakes, you can upgrade those to like an MSR groundhog or something similar very easily. Alright, so for the seam sealing, this is the product I use. It's Gear Aide Seam Grip, sorry. Now, unfortunately, I only have the tube with me because the syringe and the little paintbrush that comes with are basically one-time use only. And the syringe, if you ever had your wisdom teeth out and they give you that syringe with a little bit of a curved tip, that's what it comes with. So quite easily, fill the syringe, run it down a portion of the seam, and follow it with a paintbrush, and that's basically it. The whole tent I was able to do in a couple of hours. It dries within another couple of hours, or let it out in sunlight or in the sun in decent weather so that it can dry properly before you put it away for storage. Very easily to do, and this only runs you about $15 on Amazon. Okay, and now for the tech specs and the sizing. So weight wise, and this is one of the key items that really made me focus on the LanShan, it comes in at just over 1 kilo or 2 pounds, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very lightweight. It does require trekking poles, as you can see here, but at 2 pounds, it was a fantastic find. Secondly, the price. There is, I'll mention the Z-Packs duplex tent, and that comes in at 1 pound, but it also comes in at a pretty hefty price tag at $5.99 US. So for us Canadians, by the time you do the exchange rate, possibly duty, shipping, it gets to be pretty pricey. In 2020, I was able to purchase this for about $185 Canadian, and that's tax, delivery, everything included. So for the sake of 1 extra pound, it was a great find. Sizing wise, length 220 centimeters or 90 inches, width 120 centimeters or 47 inches, and at the peak 110 centimeters or 43 inches. So again, lots and lots of space for 1 or even 2 people, and lots of room in the vestibules as well for you. Alright folks, so hope you've enjoyed the review of the 3F UL LanShan 2 Pro. As you can see, and with the comparison of the other tents that I featured on the channel here, you can probably see why I've gone with this tent as my primary backpacking tent. It's lightweight, tons of room inside, fairly easy to set up, and it actually compacts quite small in the backpack as well. And the cost, just you can't beat it. Now the price has probably gone up a little bit since I made this purchase, but as a comparison to again the Z-Packs duplex as an example, it's less than half the price. So it's a great buy. And with the other, as with the other tents folks, I will be putting in the links for both Amazon and AliExpress below in the video description. These are affiliate links, which basically means that I earn a small commission if you follow those links and make the purchase, but it will not affect the price that you pay at all. And lastly, folks, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because I assure you there's more video content coming up, more gear reviews, more trails. There's a lot of beautiful things out there that we'll be exploring in the coming months. So stay tuned. Hope to see you out there.